From the Modelo Studios in Lubbock, Texas, this is Campus Live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Campus Live. My name is Jay Spitzer. I'm your host. And another episode, we have a great guest with us today, and I'm very excited to have Associate Athletic Director, Robert Giovannetti. Is that right?
Hey, you pronounced it correctly.
What
yes.
a great last name.
Yeah, it's
too.
fantastic.
What is that?
It's Italian.
Italian,
Yeah.
of course.
So both my grandparents came over on the boat to Ellis Island. So I am the grandson of immigrants from Italy. Yeah.
Awesome. So you have that's a neat story that goes back.
Yeah, grew up in upstate New York, where when they moved to New York, they moved to upstate New York, a town called Seneca Falls. So that's where I grew up in my early days. And then we moved to Lubbock from there.
Oh, okay, perfect. And that dives right into some great stuff. So you grew up. Did you grow up all through high school up north?
No. I just did through early age. I moved here when I was 9. To Lubbock.
Where did you graduate high school?
From a high school here in town called Christ the King.
Okay.
And so the year after I graduated from there, they closed it down. And so I don't know if that was a reflection on the last class.
What happened? Yeah.
But then they kicked it back up, and so it's back open again now.
Yeah,
it's a small school.
Y'all were so terrible. They couldn't allow it to
either that or they thought, hey, we can't top this group, and we're done.
They're the best. Yeah, so we did what we wanted. Did you athletics, was that a part of your life in high school or junior high?
A huge fan, but I was terribly unathletic. I was one of the, not considered, I was a late bloomer. I was terribly unathletic in high school and small and didn't really grow. I grew like 6 inches after I graduated.
Oh wow!
High school. Yeah, so
you were one of those guys. Yeah.
So I was always a huge sports fan and kept up with it and did those things, but unfortunately was not able. I tried, but I just wasn't very good.
I didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's genetics at the time.
Yeah, can't fight genetics.
Right. Well, and I always kind of take it back, talking about your heritage and stuff too. Do you ever visit upstate anymore? Is there still family up there?
Yeah, so where I grew up in Seneca Falls, which is the birthplace of the women's rights movement.
Right.
It's close to Buffalo, New York, and I was born actually in Rochester, New York. So I've got a lot of cousins still up there in that part of the country, and so I haven't been back myself since in the 90s. But when I went up there, it's funny, you feel really connected and ethnic. Yeah, I thought, hey, I was up there, I feel Italian. And
I
mean,
the full thing.
Yes.
I have a couple of Italian friends, and of course, it's what's that little island that they say they're up north, Staten Island. That's where and so I got to learn a little bit about it, the Italians, because like Sunday dinner was huge.
Yeah,
huge. There's some really deep-rooted traditions there that it's still there, and that was really neat for me to understand like how important family was to Italians. And so I'm German. We're not the most loving type. It's what I mean. Like I think I was 18 years old when the first time I hugged my granddad. He gave me a check, and this is me going in out of high school with a check literally, and for $10 and told me not to spend it all in the same spot. So it's like conservative German.
I got you.
But yeah, but so that's great. Do you ever? Is there anything that you still stick to Italian-wise? Do you and your family do?
We pre-COVID, we always have homemade ravioli, which my sisters make the pasta handmade with the pasta, and we have ravioli soup every Christmas Eve, which has been kind of a tradition in our family. So that we still keep that up.
Okay, great. I mean, of course you're married, kids?
Have one daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm married. I'm one of 6 kids. I was the youngest of 6 children, and me and my wife have one daughter.
Okay. So I guess we came to Lubbock. You're saying I didn't understand that you pretty much grew up here. This is where life began for you, and you learned a lot of stuff. So right after high school, where did we go from there?
So late in my high school career, my dad moved to Walnut Creek, California. So I spent first couple years out of high school in Walnut Creek, California. Came back, got my undergrad degree at Tech, and never really had the intention of staying in Lubbock. I initially, actually, when I was growing up, I wanted to go away for school, and I went to Texas Tech. Then when I was 15, my mother died. And so, just changes that. You want to stay around, be more around your family and things. So I stayed, and we did a little stint in California, but came back and went to Tech. And then it just so happened, just through I moved once for a job to Midland, Texas, but for the most part have stayed around Lubbock, and it's just that my career has evolved where I've been here.
Sure. What do you think about Midlands? There's a lot going on out there.
It was different when I was there than it is now, but yeah, it's a hopping place.
Was it so? This is just a random question for me. Was it like Booby Miles type stuff going on? Was it Permian and all that big whenever you were in Midland?
It was.
That's just random.
The Odessa Permian and Midland Lee were the big rivals back then, and that was kind of at the height of what Permian was doing.
Sure. So this athletic director position, the social position, how did this get going involved in your life, and when did you kind of figure out this path, and kind of just guide me along how we got there?
Never really figured out this path. I get asked by students. I've taught a class at Tech since 2004, and students always say, "Did you always know you wanted to be a senior associate athletic director in athletics?" And I didn't really know a job like mine existed at the time. I had built my career up, and I'd done a couple different things, and I started my own business in 2000, in 2001. And just as the nature of starting a business, I had some early difficulties growing the business. It was a video production company, and so I bought at the time a magazine that was that was done, one of 12 magazines in the Big 12. At that time, the Big 12 had 12 schools.
Sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, right.
And the guy that owned Red Raider Sports was selling it. And I had done some writing for him just on the side. And so I ended up buying it I thought, you know what, I'll use this as a backup if my production company doesn't work. And again, you got to remember, this is early 2000s.
Yeah,
and so print at the time was still very, very viable. Mm-hmm. And as I bought it, for cash flow, because I thought I could still advertise it. I know people in town, which I could, and the way we were doing the subscriptions was working. And then I had the idea, hey, I can kind of morph these together. I can start doing things, and we started a website in the early 2000s that's still around called RedRaiderSports.com. Hired a guy named Chris Lovell, who's still obviously a big name.
Still works with it?
Yeah, he still runs the site, and he's got a talk show. And from that, it led to, we started a daily talk show, and then I became, from that, the sports director at Fox 34. At the same time, I had a video production company, so I had all those things going on.
You were a busy man.
Yeah, at one time. I got a little burned out. So I called, this was in 2011, I emailed Chancellor Hance, who was the chancellor of the Texas Tech system. I knew Chancellor Hance just through my work, and I said, hey, I'm at kind of a crossroads in my career. Can you give me 15 minutes? And he emailed me back almost immediately and said, hey, send me your resume, and I'll give you 30. And so I went and saw him, and basically by this was in April or May, he said, hey, if you can wait around, he said, I'd like to hire you in July. And that's okay.
Yeah,
and so,
sure.
And he hired me as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Communications and Marketing for the system. And by the time, he didn't really offer me a job. He said, I'd like to hire you. So I was kind of banking on that. And he'd call me up every now and then and have me introduce me to somebody. If you know Chancellor Hansen, I guess before you work for him and after you work for him, you always work for him. Because he still calls me about things. But he'd give me the projects, and I would tell my wife, I think I have a job. I'm not sure. I'm not getting paid for this. But and then eventually I started. And so I worked with him till he announced his retirement from the system.
Yeah.
And then I went to I was running our campus television and radio station, our PBS and our NPR station. And so President Nellis asked me to stay on and do that. So I did that. And then athletics at the time in 2015, they were going through a tremendous change. And I knew Kirby Hocutt. And so Kirby reached out to me just because he knew I'd had print experience and broadcast experience in all these areas, and he just wanted to talk about, tech. So we went to lunch at Chili's. How about that?
I like Chili's,
a free plug for Chili's.
There you go.
And we talked, and at the end of the conversation, he said, hey, I hadn't really thought about this before, but what if I created a position, this position, and you run our external operations units? And he goes, that's not what I was thinking about doing, but after we've talked, I think we could do that. And, my head was saying I really had a good job, and I was content.
Yeah.
I'm getting older. In my head, my head was saying, no. But I said, yeah, I'd be interested in that. And then So we went through the process, and he ended up hiring me, and here I am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in this position? How many years?
It'll be
were-
5 years this coming up summer.
I like how you said that. He said, well, we'll create a position, and then we'll also make sure that the position is 20 characters long, or 20 names. Y'all have some awesome,
Yeah, we have a
titles
lot.
here.
Yeah, there's a lot of words in the title.
So just let me know, what does your job entail exactly? Like, what are some of your daily tasks that you do?
So I oversee all of our front-facing units. So ticket sales and ticket
Okay.
operations, marketing, fan engagement, communications, our broadcast services team, and then our digital and licensing space. So those four or five units, I think I've when you break them up, I think I have 6 budgets that I'm responsible for, and about 40 employees. I have 5 direct reports that report directly to me, but I oversee just any unit that deals with the public.
Yeah, and it's like also it seems like as they went to create this position, hey, they just throw more stuff at you. So this falls in your area, Robert. So you'll
Yeah, sometimes we'll be looking at something kind of crazy, and Kirby will go, I think this is the perfect opportunity for our senior associate athletic director for external operations.
Yeah, this sounds good for him.
Yes.
Okay, well, and I want to touch on this real briefly, if you don't mind. And I know everybody has killed the whole question about COVID, and it hasn't interrupted you at all. And I just want to know, has it changed your space, and your scope of work? Has it made it harder?
Yeah, I think a little of both. I think early on, I tell my class about unintended consequences, and some changes we made because of COVID have led to other things. I'll give you an example of, we decided just for safety, let's go to mobile ticketing and digital ticketing. So in the past, where we would print season tickets at a printer in Arkansas and mail them out to our season ticket base and ticket holders, we ended up going just all mobile. And it turned out to be, we weren't sure how it was going to work. We weren't sure how our fans were going to accept it. And it's actually been great. And it's made our operations smoother. It's made things easier. Not for everybody. It's funny, you learn not everybody has a smartphone. And
Sure.
you have to be able to print hard tickets for those people.
Yeah.
But it's made us a more efficient operation. And things like, now we're in baseball season, and baseball changes game times at the drop of a hat. They'll come out and say, hey, let's play at 2 o'clock today rather than 7. So we can change that immediately on the digital tickets. We can ban somebody from the game if we have to. It's just all kinds of things that are a positive.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And to transfer. So if you had a ticket and you couldn't go, it's easier now for you to transfer to a buddy or something.
Yeah,
So
it seems like some of the stuff that we've learned through this is actually helpful that you will take on and continue to do, right?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. And I think, Zoom and Teams, those things, you miss the in-person things like we're doing now, but it also can make you more efficient. We have a lot of meetings and we're spread out. And so now you realize we don't always have to get together in the same room. We can get on a Zoom. And I think for me, it's going to help with our communication with our fan base. We're trying to do some focus groups after games. And in the past, we've always just had to use people from Lubbock, right? Because you want people that can come to the conference room and sit down and talk to you about it. But now we realize we don't have to do that. Our fan base is spread out, and we can talk to those people.
Yeah, so we've learned a lot. We learned a lot about people and stuff. So there are some positives that come from this.
Yes, there's no doubt.
Well, do you enjoy the professor side of this too? How do you like that? Being a professor for, how many classes do you teach a week? One? Is it 1 or 2?
I teach one class a semester, and it's online, so that I miss being with the students and talking to the students. I started in 2004. Todd Chambers, who's now associate dean of the college, he was undergoing cancer treatment, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have a media sales class. Can you teach it for me this semester?" And I'd never taught before, and I thought, yeah, I'm kind of interested in that, and enjoyed the experience. And they have thrown me a bone nearly every semester since then, giving me a class. And
nice.
I'll teach a sales class, or I'll teach a PR class. I'll teach an intro to sports management class that talks about just different careers in sports. I've done play-by-play, so I've taught a play-by-play class. So there's different things that we do, and I love doing it. I love the students. Every semester is different, right? Every semester, some things remain constant. I always tell them about the principal past performance, that the classes are always going to be the same based on things that I've done. But every now and then they'll throw me a curveball, and so I really enjoy it. I love communicating and keeping in contact with the students.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes too,
Yeah.
and you just have to learn to adjust as well. But and speaking of, I did a little talk about broadcasting. I did some radio broadcasting too, so I do understand the play-by-play and the color side. Just between me and you and some of the people that do know, is what do you think is harder? Is it the play-by-play or the color? Who's got the easy job?
It depends on the sport, right? And
Sure.
it depends on the. I always tell people that in radio, the play-by-play guy is the star.
Yeah.
Right, because he has to call or she has to call and set the tone and set the picture. If it's on television, the analyst becomes more of the key person, because we can all see that. I can see you're wearing a black and white striped shirt. I don't have to tell people about it. So,
Yeah, right.
but I love it. I love doing the different sports. I'm kind of retired now, just because my real job has so many aspects to it that for example, I used to do baseball, but we do 30-plus games on ESPN Plus, and Kirby has said, hey, we got to sell football tickets this year. So really what I don't need to be doing is spending 4 hours, every day calling a baseball game. So I've relinquished a lot of those duties.
Yeah, and do you ever miss it? You ever
Oh,
get to-
yeah. It gets in your blood, and if you've done it,
does,
there's a certain juice to it that working in a newsroom, working in athletics, they have similar type of kind of endorphins for your job that make you want to come to work every day, and it doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah,
and
that's what it is.
I'm a huge Cincinnati Red fan. They had a farm club that was near where I grew up. And so I've always been a Reds fan. I always tell people if I could do anything I wanted for a living, I'd be the play-by-play guy for the Reds.
For the Reds?
Yeah, just calling baseball every day.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a better job.
Yeah, well, and you become like family with whoever you're with, because you start to learn. Create a relationship, not only with the coaches and stuff, with the players. It's not just like you're on the back burner. You're actually pretty involved.
Yeah, and not that I needed this to tell me you know what you're talking about, but that's exactly right. You do get. That's one of the things I love about radio and doing a radio show. Is there's a community there that that's why I don't think local radio ever goes away, because you develop that community feeling.
Sure.
And if you're the play-by-play guy for a sport, you do become part of the team and part of the family. And I still have. I started calling Tech baseball in 2008, and I still keep in contact with some of those players from those teams, their parents who I've met through the years. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Well, awesome. I got a couple more things I want to talk to you about before I just jump out. Is
Sure.
that okay with you?
Yeah, let's go.
Well, first of all, and we'll leave. I'm a big family guy too, and I know we've talked about that at the first. And you talked about your daughter. Are there has Texas Tech and Red has that become part of your blood yet? Do you see yourself at Texas Tech for the long term future? I know that's a tough question, but is Tech a big part of your family?
Yeah, I Texas Tech is home to me. I think I'm in a good spot that. Again, went to school there. I went to Tech football games in the early '70s. One of my big idols when I was growing up was Rodney Allison, who's quarterback of one of the best Tech football teams of all time. And I work with Rodney now. He's director of our Double T Varsity Club, and he's a friend of mine. And so there's some kind of things that I couldn't have foreseen of working at Texas Tech. I don't know where I'll be 5 years, 10 years. I never would have guessed 10 years ago that I'd be here now.
Sure,
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But yeah, Texas Tech, I feel I'm obviously loyal and faithful to Texas Tech. It is family to me. The people I work with, my teammates in the athletic department, I feel like family. It's home. And so, yeah, I think I'm about as true Red Raider as you can get.
Yeah. Is your wife a Red Raider fan?
My wife is a Red Raider. Also, she went to Texas Tech. Now, my daughter, we lost her. She went to the University of Texas.
Oh, she's completely turned.
Yeah, and she graduated in 3 years from the University of Texas. She's not a big sports fan, and so whenever Tech would play Texas, people would say, "What big rivalry game for you and your daughter?" And I was like, "She doesn't even know we're playing." I remember we went to Omaha one year. One of the years we went to Omaha, I told her, I said, "Hey, Texas is here," and she's like, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." So yeah, but she graduated in 3 years from there, and she's in graduate school now. But she's kind of a pseudo Red Raider. She because of her dad and her mom, she roots for Tech.
Yeah. If they're on, unless they're playing Texas, I guess.
No, I don't even think she cares if they're playing Texas.
No,
she's not. If she went to A&M, they would have called her a 2%er.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't. She's not. She doesn't bleed the burn orange.
Okay, well that's good. That's good for you and everybody else too with that question. So, well, I hate to have to or to push you away, because I'd rather have you you here all day. I could do a show with you all day.
Yeah, well, let's do it. We can start one, and maybe Marcus
Maybe-
can put us on.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Our show. Yeah,
that would be
good.
awesome to start a show. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some viewers on there. So, but I really appreciate you dropping by the studio today and just having a conversation and being genuine with me.
Yeah,
I
thanks
really
for having me.
appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So all you guys listen out there again, Senior Associate Athletic Director Robert Giovannetti. That is definitely Italian out there for you guys. Stop by Campus Live today, and we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you check us out on all our digital platforms. You can see this one coming up soon. We'll have video and, of course, the audio as well. Robert, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, you take care.